Hey guys, I've got Lily here, one of our awesome tutors at Ignite, and she's created this really cool resource on how to help you just break down those longer short answer questions. So when you're in your short answer section, sometimes you get those questions or like the text that are like a page or even 2 pages long. And it can be really hard to sort of break those down, and it can take up a lot of time. And that's probably the biggest thing that students find happens is that they spend a lot of time trying to break those questions down and then, don't really get time to fully answer them. So is that what you found with your students, Lily?
Yeah, absolutely. So when my students were doing practice language papers, the biggest feedback that I was finding was they felt like they were running out of time. And when they approached the longer questions, they were really overwhelmed and had no idea where to start to find evidence, let alone like understand what the text was about and relate it to the question.
Awesome. So what do you suggest that your students do in that situation?
Yeah, so I constructed like a list of things that I think has really helped them with strategies about how to approach it. So first of all, a lot of my students were reading the extract first and trying to just divulge all the meaning that they could from that long extract. So I advised them to read the question first and underline the key words rather than trying to approach that long extract, because that allows them to read purposefully. Like if you've read the question and you know what human experiences or emotions or challenges you're looking for, as you're reading, you're already going to be taking note of those things. So that's the first one. The second one that I found with my students was that they felt like they had to understand absolutely every line in this really long extract, which just wasn't achievable to do under time conditions. So I've told them to focus mostly on the start and the end, because throughout most of the longer extracts, there's going to be a change in the character from the start to the end. And usually it's a human experience or a challenge or something to do with the question that is marking that change. So more sophisticated response are going to be able to discuss those changes. So, and as also, the ending always has like the denouement or the moral of the story. So if you're really stuck and you don't know what the piece is about or what they're trying to say in the piece or how it relates to the question, rereading the ending thoroughly can often help you to deduce that meaning. So yeah. Number 3 is that if you still are stuck after you've read it, you should ask yourself what changed the character from the start to the end, because often this is a good question that helps you to identify what the purpose of the piece is. So that's just a good question to have for yourself if you're in the exam and you just don't know how to process what's happened and think about how to approach the short answer question that you have in front of you. Following my advice about the start and the end, it's also great if you have a quote from the start and the end in your response, because that's going to show the marker that you read the whole text and that you know what changed from the start to the end in your response. Following that, as you're reading purposely, having read the question, it's always a good idea to underline your quotes as you read. A lot of students also get caught up on the fact that they think they have to pick quotes with the most sophisticated technique that they can find. That's not the best way to approach that. It would be better to look at the ones that really help you answer the question. So as you're looking at quotes, think about the ones that most helped you to get to your answer about like what emotions or what challenges or experiences were in the text, and go with those. Even if they're a less sophisticated technique, you'll find it will be easier and clearer for you to write about. So that's a really big one. Also, just remember to analyze your quotes in chronological order from the start to the end, because again, that's just going to allow your response to be far more purposeful and guided as you're working towards an ending, just like the piece was. Finally, if you can't remember a technique, when in doubt, everything is symbolism, tone, or imagery. We already have a video on that. But also what I found with students is sometimes they'll have quote techniques memorized and quotes from previous essays. So if they can start saying that some of those techniques in their head, like regurgitating your cheat sheets or your scaffolds, sometimes that's just going to trigger you to remember a technique that might actually apply to that piece and that extract, and just help you to be able to find something to write about. So yeah, those are my strategies.
Amazing. And using I love the first one you've got there, don't read the extract first, read the question, because you can do that in your reading time. So You've got your 10 minutes reading time, and lots of people just go, oh, I'm just going to start reading the texts but that is not the best use of the time. You've got to read the questions of the short answers and then read your essay question and start thinking, okay, I'm not just reading a text for leisure. I'm actually looking for the thing that this question is asking me. And that then means you don't need to get bogged down in every single detail. You're just going for the bits that you need for that question. If you follow that up with the things that Lily suggested, you'll find it a lot easier to get through the questions, get through the paper, and still get a really, really good result.